Down at the embassy, they're priming the big guns for a banana war. Costa Rica, Honduras and Panama have sent their presidents, no less, to London to try and persuade the European community not to construct new trade barriers against their produce. On Tuesday, they saw John Major and Douglas Hurd. Yesterday, they met President Mitterrand of France. And today, they were in Paris, chewing over the banana issue with Jacques Delors. Banana battles are likely to break out across the whole of Europe. Germany imports its bananas from Latin America. They're called dollar bananas because the currencies of Latin America are so closely tied to the US dollar. They're traded on the free market. Other countries like France, Portugal, Spain and Greece import their bananas at guaranteed prices from traditional suppliers, often former colonies. Britain gets all its bananas from the Caribbean because it agreed to buy all the region's exports under the terms of the Lomé IV Treaty, signed 2.5 years ago. What's got under the skin of dollar banana producers is the advent of the European single market. When the internal trade barriers come down in January, big dollar bananas like these, mostly restricted to Germany at the moment, could come flooding into Britain and put the skids under smaller, more expensive Caribbean bananas. But the British government seems determined to stop them.
Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana.
Caribbean producers gained protected status because their plantations are often on rocky island terrain, conditions which push prices way above the competition from Latin America. Many poorer countries are totally dependent on such support. St. Lucia, for example, gets 90% of its foreign income from bananas. But dollar banana producers like Honduras say they too are poor and should be allowed to export their cheaper crop freely.
We believe that protectionism, quotas, mechanisms of this sort limit the movement and flow of goods and services, and obviously as a principle we're against any limitations of commerce.
The Latin Americans claim that EC proposals, which should be in place by the end of this year, will hit them hard. At the moment, they import 2.6 million tonnes of bananas into Europe. They claim that will be restricted to 1.4 million tonnes by an EC quota, although the final figure has not yet been announced. On top of that, they'll have to pay at least a 20% tariff. The Central American presidents in London today said they were deserving of better treatment. The fact that the Caribbean has a better record on human rights and democracy than they did should not enter the argument, they said.
Panama, which had been under the dictatorship of the military for 21 years, now is democratic. We feel that we are sort of shortchanged. We were being advised to open up, and we see things closing other places. We have come here to ask us to ask them to do what they preach.
Neither the Caribbean nor Latin American producers can afford to lose market share in Europe. But tonight, the European Commission said it is going to introduce quotas for the dollar bananas. In Britain, that means shoppers must pay the high prices needed to support Caribbean producers. In Central America, they say it'll cost them jobs and vital foreign exchange.